What are the top 5 cruise lines serving Alaska in 2025 and 2026? Welcome to RTE Travel Talk, Ask a Real Travel Expert, the show that talks to travel professionals around the world. Joining me today are 2 seasoned Alaska travel experts, Rich and Linda Skinner from Cruise Holidays of Woodinville. These two know Alaska like the back of their hand. If you enjoy the journey with us today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. And if this video's got you inspired, give it a thumbs up or drop a comment and join the conversation. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for being part of our travel community, whether you're a longtime fan or just dropping by. We really appreciate it. And now, on with the show. Hi, folks. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. It's really good to be here. We love travel talking with you.
It's always a pleasure.
Well, I'm excited to chat to you today about Alaska. It's one of our all-time favorite cruise destinations. So let's get started. In preparation for the show, I kind of reached out for your thoughts on the top 5 cruise lines serving Alaska this year, and you came back with the following for various reasons, and they are Holland America, Princess Cruises, Celebrity Cruises with the Edge class, Viking Ocean Cruises, and of course Royal Caribbean for families and multi-gen groups. So I thought today you could share your insight on why you chose those particular cruise lines. How does that sound?
That sounds just fine.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Ken,
Perfect.
let me give you a little bit of a view from 10,000 feet. For
Sure.
This will be the 100th anniversary of the founding of Glacier Bay National Park.
Wow.
So that's a milestone for the Alaskans. Also, it is the 100th anniversary of what they call the Serum Run, which was the dog sled from Anchorage to Nome for a diphtheria serum thing, which was the precursor for the Iditarod. So there are 2 major events taking place in Alaska that are milestones for them. And to go along with that, for this year, we have more than 60 cruise ships in Alaska.
Wow.
And that represents nearly every major cruise line, so many very different ships from all kinds of things, from 10 passengers to 4,000.
Fantastic. So let's kind of kick it off here with the 2 big players in Alaska. And then those are the names we hear over and over again, Holland America and Princess Cruise Lines. Why are these, in your opinion, still the 2 top dogs?
For them, it is the primary product of their fleets. And so, especially for Holland America, I worked for it one time in the past. They really started the modern era of Alaska tourism. And as a result, they built lodges, they built kinds of activities that could go along with their tours. They built custom-built rail cars, their own bus fleet. So they really had in place a huge infrastructure for Alaska because it was their number 1 primary product. And that's still the case today. Alaska is really a 2 different kind of product. It's either a cruise tour where you do inland in Alaska, you do Denali maybe, or Fairbanks, or one of the other attractions, or the other is just an inside passage cruise, 7-day cruise from either Vancouver, Seattle, or in some cases from San Francisco. Anyway, that's it. Linda, want to add?
Well, I think too that because Princess and Holland have been doing it for so long and do a lot of the cruise tour business,
Right.
Usually when people call us and they're looking at a cruise tour, immediately they think of Princess and Holland.
Right.
They tend to have more product and different variations. The brochure for both of those on their cruise tours is mammoth. There's so many different variations that you can do. We were just laughing this morning is that Holland advertises that with them you see more glaciers, and with Princess they advertise that more people see more glaciers on Princess. Yeah.
Princess has bigger ships.
And the fact is they both, glaciers are a good big part because, I get more people wanting glaciers because they are reading that the glaciers are receding and they're
Exactly.
not going to be there that long. And, so it becomes that commodity that is going to be disappearing. So I want to go see it when I can see it. They are definitely the ones that most consumers think of when they think of cruising Alaska.
So if I hear you correctly, because of the length of time that both Holland America and Princess Cruises have been in Alaska and the infrastructure that they have in the ground, be it lodges, rail cars, and what have you, there is more flexibility and more opportunity for different itineraries and experiences. So if you're looking for something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. For us as travel advisors, we really have to ask a lot of questions about how long do you want to go? What do you want to see? What is the most important thing to you?
Yeah.
And then try to find the itinerary that fits.
Now, so in the notes that you gave me, you singled out Celebrity Cruises and their new Edge class ships as kind of a slightly different category. What's up with that?
Well, we kind of look at the Edge class as being a kind of maybe a premium plus level product. So it adds to the nature of the actual cruise experience because the ships are so well designed and they have so many components built into there that kind of gives them a little bit of an edge over a lot of the competition, especially for your adult and mature market.
Right.
So that's where they really have an edge over the competition.
And they have the inside balcony that has the window that motorizes down halfway. Your balcony is indoor outdoor, which is extremely nice for Alaska because you never know what the weather's going to be in Alaska. It doesn't matter when you go, you don't know what the weather's going to be.
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. That's the infinite veranda that you're talking about
Yeah.
that goes up and down, and it actually
Yeah.
forms part of your stateroom. The weather can be inclement or cooler, actually gives you a better experience.
Yes.
When we think about it, Rich, Holland America, Princess Cruises, and Celebrity really are all in the premium class.
Yes.
But with the Edge class ships, with all of the onboard amenities, the restaurants, the infinite veranda staterooms, and the like, it's like you said, they're kind of like a premium plus for folks in the
Yep.
Alaska market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, you have the solarium, so you have an indoor pool.
Yeah.
And it really is set up nicely for the Alaska cruise, the Inside Passage cruise.
Mhm.
Exactly. And you're not really gonna find that on the Holland ships or the Princess ships.
Yeah, you find maybe a magrodome over the pool or something, but it's much different.
Yeah, yeah. You'll find the indoor pool on Holland, but you won't find that kind of stateroom.
Also with Celebrity, I think, like you said, they kind of tend to attract a younger demographic as opposed to
More
like a Holland America.
contemporary. I would say more contemporary
Right.
would be a nice way to put it. If you want showroom kind of entertainment that is popular right now, with the Cirque du Soleil
Yep.
and that kind of thing. And like you say, the multiple restaurants. I mean, they all have multiple restaurants, but the Edge has multiple included restaurants where you have options of different dining experiences in not just one giant dining room.
As memory serves, they have 4 dining rooms, and you move from dining room to dining room
Yes.
throughout the
Yes.
cruise.
I think the key thing is all 3 of those brands are trying to market to the multi-generational groupings out there.
Right.
Some, like Holland probably has a little more mature audience because they're traditionally a little more mature.
Yeah.
And Princess is probably in the middle, and then Celebrity's probably on the slightly lower end of the multi-generation markets.
Well, Princess has some really nice kids programs educationally for Alaska. They do a nice job of that. All of them have special Alaska things going on. When you go on any of those, if you go to Glacier Bay, they will bring on a ranger who will be, narrating the whole tour of Glacier Bay National Park, which again, with its 100th anniversary, is a very special thing.
Yeah.
It seems like every one that we've been on in the past few years, they'll have some Indigenous people come on and talk about their grandparents or whatever, what they did in this land and what was going on. It's just some really nice touches like that to make the Alaska experience really feel different than if you go on that ship to the Caribbean or
Right.
to Mexico or
Exactly.
to some other place.
Now, who do you like in the luxury market for Alaska?
Lynn and I went round and round about this one because there's so many good choices. It's hard to narrow it down. But
Yeah.
In this case, we picked Viking Ocean, and some people may debate us that's not really a super luxury product, although we think it is. And I was talking to Linda, I said, the key thing is if you look at those ships, they were designed to do a lot of, Norwegian fjord and other kinds of cruising where they had lots of indoor glass space so you could see in lounges and be able to use the outdoors well as far as the way the product was set up. So plus all their ships are the same. I mean, they're all exactly blueprints of each other. You get on one, you can't tell one from the other. So they're exactly the same.
And any of my Viking clients just come back on Viking Ocean, well, all of it, just come back raving. I mean, absolutely raving about the service, the cultural experience, the dining experiences, the lectures they have on board about Alaska. They advertise the Thinking person's cruise. Truly, it's not false advertising. It truly is. There's nothing but balcony staterooms. That's all they have. Pretty much everything is included. There's extras that you can purchase, but everything you need to make a great cruise is included.
Are they technically in the luxury category, or are they somewhere in between premium and luxury?
They show in between, but I think they're kind of moving up there because of the level of service that they are doing. And you can package pre and post tours that would give you land experience in Alaska as well.
So when we think about Viking Ocean, their ships are obviously quite a bit smaller than anything Princess or Celebrity has. Does that mean that they can get into smaller areas?
They can, yes, they can. And they have a really nice itinerary.
So the itinerary you would find on Viking Ocean is not necessarily going to be the same as you would find on Celebrity.
Yeah, one of the differences, for example, by leaving from Vancouver, they're able to actually do the inside passage up the inside of Vancouver Island. And the people who are going out of Seattle are going around the outside of Vancouver Island. And so there's one differentiation right there. So it does, there's little things, but those little things add up.
So leaving from Vancouver, the inside passage that's running up between Vancouver Island and British Columbia on their way to Alaska, is that tends to be fairly scenic, right?
It is very scenic, yes. Yeah. Yes. One of the cruise lines, if we can just throw a curveball at you, Ken. One of the cruise lines that we consider Silver Seas, they're great. We consider, but Seabourn has some really fantastic itineraries into some of British Columbia, as well as on their way up to Alaska, going into some of the low ports because of the size of their ship. Rich said even some places that he's never heard of.
Yeah, so that's really interesting then. If you've done a regular Alaska, then there is plenty of other options to do Alaska multiple times and see different parts of either British Columbia and Alaska with these smaller ships, because they can get into these smaller ports and areas.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
However, Ken, if you want to do something really one-off, Holland has the Westerdam on June 8th doing a 28-day Arctic solstice cruise. And this is a cruise that goes from Seattle, but it goes to the Arctic Circle, and it goes to Dutch Harbor and Nome and Kodiak and all kinds of places around the outside of Alaska. And you're going to be there at the summer solstice. It'll be 24 hours of daylight.
Oh wow,
that's a bucket lister. That's one of those.
That's definitely a bucket lister.
It starts at about $10,000 for a balcony, but for 4 weeks, that's not a bad price.
28 days. No, you're right. It's like $2,500 a week.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. So what about family multi-generational? I see that you've picked Royal Caribbean, and you don't necessarily think of Royal Caribbean when you think about Alaska. So why did you choose them?
They have the best program for family. My family clients, they find that if they have especially little kids and they want to have some childcare and programs and a special eating time, all of these things for family, they really do a great job. And their ships are fun. They have a lot of fun activities, lends itself to a younger contemporary party going, not crazy party like some of the cruise lines that we won't mention, but just good fun stuff that people enjoy.
Basically a more active community on board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, when we think of Royal Caribbean, we think about their big mega ships, the Oasis class ships. Do the Oasis class ships run up to Alaska, or are they using the Quantum class, which is
the Quantum class, which is a nice class?
Oh yeah,
it has a lot going for it.
Yeah, a little bit smaller,
but it's not small.
No, exactly.
just smaller than the mega ships.
If you go to Juneau on a busy ship day, you will see a lot of mega ships in there. It's lined up one after the other, bow to stern, and
Well,
they're
not mega, like the
big
Oasis
ships.
class.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I
Like,
think they've reached the limit of what the market can handle as far as number of people going into the. There's a big concern about sustainable tourism, and Alaska's right there in keeping it. So they're trying to maintain it as best they can to keep.
And
the
so they
product.
should really. Yeah.
Absolutely, we
Yeah.
fully agree with that.
You wouldn't want two Oasis class ships pulling into Juneau.
It's
So
sell out the
No.
T-shirt stores.
yeah.
well, and that's another thing that people should know is that it will be more crowded if you go in July, August when school's out. It will just definitely be more crowded. And if people think the weather's going to be better, maybe not. It does show a higher temperatures in those months for Alaska, as an average. But it will be much more crowded. If you do a before school lets out and after school goes back into session, you will find it less crowded.
Exactly. That's
It's
good.
also a product that lends itself to somebody who's a little more active, somebody who can take
Yes.
advantage of the shore excursions, because there's a certain amount of physical exertion that goes into the shore excursions in Alaska, depending upon what you want to do. But there's more of that there than there might be in a different product.
Right. So in terms of the shore excursions, like there's more walking, more hiking,
Yes.
more
Yes.
active.
Although they
Uh,
do have a few, everybody has a few that would be more geared to people who have physical challenges.
yeah. No, exactly.
But I tell you, we still, as Lynn and I will often say, if somebody said, "Would you like to go to Alaska tomorrow on a cruise?" We don't care what it's on, we'd go, because we love that product. We just, every time we go, there's something new, something exciting, something different. And it's the kind of a product that always is evolving and always changing. And that gives a little value added extra to anybody who goes there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So just to put a cap on this, the top 5 cruise lines we've got for Alaska in 2025 and 2026 are Holland America, Princess Cruise Lines, Celebrity Cruises with the fancy new Edge class, Viking Ocean, and then for families and multi-gen groups, we're looking at Royal Caribbean.
That's our picks, but just like anybody else, we're in like the football draft. In the first round, you can pick anybody, and you probably got a winner. So beyond those 5, there's lots of other great choices depending upon your requirements.
And I would expect, as always, Rich, it really comes down to a good conversation with your expert travel advisor to find the right cruise line or ship to match what you're looking for, right?
That's one product you really need good advice, good counsel on. It's not inexpensive, so you want to make sure you got the best counsel you have to maximize your vacation. And that's what travel counselors like Linda does. So
Every cruise line is just a little bit different, and also timing, inventory. If you're looking at 2025, there's very limited inventory on some of these. You would find none on Viking right now. You'd be looking at 2026 and 2027 for your trip. Cruise tours tend to sell out really quickly. Those are getting very sparse.
Right.
I'm actually doing planning for several people right now for Alaska in 2026.
So really, if you're thinking of booking Alaska to get what you want, if I hear you correctly, you probably want to book this a year and a half out, or is that
Yep.
too far?
Not too far at all.
And with Alaska and the cruise lines, does it follow the same protocol that the best price you're going to probably see for staterooms on ships in Alaska is just when the product opens up for sale?
Yes.
both shoulders. Also in September after school starts again. Those are your
Yeah.
2 windows: April, May, and then September.
So if you had to make a recommendation for folks, Rich, would you rather them go in April, May, or September, October?
Personal preference, I would probably go September, just because fall comes early to Alaska. So you're going to see the end of the salmon runs, and you're going to be able to see the trees starting to turn color, those that do turn color. So, I mean, that's good. And the weather usually is pretty good in September. April, May, sometimes it can be a little more iffy as far as the weather's concerned.
Oh.
And the best advice we always give is wear layers.
Be prepared.
Because you never know with the weather. Wait 5 minutes, it could change.
Yes.
Well, folks, this is absolutely excellent advice. Is there anything else you might like to add before we sail on out of here today?
If you haven't been to Alaska, do it. Do it. It's absolutely beautiful. You are actually sailing in gorgeous fjords
Yeah,
when you're sailing in Alaska. And I've been all around this world, but it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
definitely one to tick off the travel to-do list.
Yeah.
If folks wanted to reach out to you about a possible cruise to Alaska or another vacation, how would they do that, folks?
If you're watching this on YouTube, you can request us through the website or just give us a call or an email to info@luxuriant.com. We would love to talk to you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll leave that contact information in the description for those folks that might like to reach out. But as always, since I'd like to live vicariously through the travels of all the wonderful people I get to interview on this channel, I have to know where you guys are off to next.
Well, we still have Africa in there. It just is a time horizon of when it's going to work out for us. So,
Well, having been to Africa, I'm looking forward to having you guys back on the show to compare notes. How does that sound?
sounds great.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, with that, folks, I'm just going to wish the two of you safe and happy travels on all your future cruises and destinations. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on the Lido deck of an Alaska cruise sometime in the future.
First drinks on us.
I'll take you up on that. Take care.
Bye, Ken.
Bye. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guests, Rich and Linda Skinner of Cruise Holidays of Woodinville. If you would like to reach out to Rich and Linda about a possible cruise vacation to Alaska, I will leave their contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach out to us with a question or a suggestion for a future video, you can simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com, visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, share, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps other folks just like you to find our content. So until next time, happy travels.